Hello, brother sewing crafty family. Angela Wolf here, brother brand ambassador, and wait till you see what we have in store today. In fact, we had posted this a few weeks ago, and I saw so many of your comments saying, "I cannot wait to meet Tock." Well, today's your chance, and we are live, so we'll be able to take your questions. We're live streaming on brother YouTube and Facebook pages, and we're excited to see what he's got in store. So pop in, say hi. We'll be right back. Hello. Hi, Chris. How are you?
Hi. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for such a great introduction.
Well, we are so excited for this. And I don't know if you do this. You know, we were going to have the show a few weeks ago, and there are comments on there saying, "I cannot wait to meet Tock." So we just had to make them wait a little longer, and you have so many cool things. So first of all, for those of you that have not met him yet, say hi. First of all, your machines, I was going through your YouTube channel. Your brother machines have the coolest stickers on them ever. I think we should have like a Tock sticker collection.
I do. And actually, they're kind of a collection of other artists from around the world that I've got to meet through, all kinds of different platforms, which is great. So I get to celebrate all these great artists from around the world and some of my own stuff.
It's awesome. So first of all, for a lot of the viewers maybe don't know you. I know some of your fans are diehard fans. I watched your introduction on YouTube, I think it was, and I was so intrigued. And then my husband came in. He's like, "Who is that? That is so cool. Your story is amazing. You taught yourself. So why don't you give everyone just a little rundown of how you started?" Because I think in your YouTube video, you were wearing a shirt that you made that you said was the worst. It was sewn together so poorly. I was dying laughing. I think I have a few of those.
Yeah. But no, I am self-taught, and I have questions for you too. But for now, yeah, I taught myself to start going to some costume conventions, like kind of big, actually, that's a suit of armor I'm building, which is, I like doing cosplay and armor and costumes. And I found that I really loved creating, so I didn't want to stop when those events were over. So I started making like men's clothing and learning embroidery, leather, lots of fiber arts and things like that. And it's just kind of snowballed into taking over my entire house of a workshop, which I'm in love with creating, and specifically sewing. And yeah, that introduction is, I covered a lot in there because I talked about I worked in mental health for a lot of years, and I've been in recovery, and I've found that sewing and sharing with people has been a great way to connect with people from around the world, which is amazing.
It is amazing. And you also you do a lot of videos on YouTube. You also are on Twitch. I had to laugh because I started on Twitch maybe like a few months ago. I've got, I
Wow.
think, 2 followers. You have like 6,900. I have a ways to go.
Yeah, I won't talk too much about it, but that was a great platform for me to start because I was brand new at sewing, and they had just launched a creative channel for artists to share whatever they did with the world. And I was one of the first like 5 members of that community, so I got to grow with it. And all my first commissions came from that community, and I learned all kinds of new stuff. My first competitive builds came from that, and then I kind of moved into YouTube tutorial content because it was a great platform for teaching.
Yeah, and you make a lot of things, and we'll get into a lot of these. I've got some photos that I have to bring up that are just beautiful, but you've gotten into the cosplay world really big. Do you want to tell everyone how that even started? Because I think that's a pretty cool story.
Sure. Actually, that's how I started sewing. I was, I think, 29 or 30 years old. Yeah, I didn't know how to sew, and I wanted to go to an event and dress up as one of my favorite characters, which is this Italian assassin. So I made it. It looked kind of like it. It wasn't very well constructed, but people could recognize it. And I had so much fun that I didn't want to stop. And I came to find there's this huge culture of high-level costume and cosplay creators out there. And I got to connect. Like, I think it was through competing. Some of the judges that were judging that particular contest were some of my biggest like maker heroes that taught people. And I got to meet them, and they were like, "Oh, come hang out with us at the bar after the contest, and we'll have drinks." And I just fell into this very welcoming and wonderful group of friends that I get to work with now.
That's awesome. And your costumes are pretty cool, by the way.
Thank
In
you.
fact, amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
Do you have a favorite costume that you've made that you could say this is my all-time favorite?
The one I'm probably most proud of was my last competition build, which was the Zinogre Blademaster armor set, which is the it's standing on a mannequin over there, which is why I'm looking. It's kind of the green and yellow armor set with the helmet and the big bass guitar prop. I don't know if you have photos.
Let me see if I have a photo of this.
Yeah,
I'll
it's like
look while we're
turquoise
chatting.
and gold, and you can't see my face. Well,
Oh, I think I see it.
big shoulders. Yeah.
Okay, everyone, I got to bring this up because if this is it, this is super cool.
I think there's 2 pictures of it. Yeah.
You look like you just came off of a movie I just saw. Is that it?
Yeah, actually, that picture is funny because I had just taken my helmet off, and some random photographer took a photograph of me, and I was really irritated that he waited for me to take my helmet off, which is why I look so angry in that photo.
I think like I said, I think you just came off of a movie we just watched, so it looks awesome.
Cool, thank you. Yeah, and I think there's another picture where I'm wearing a helmet and holding a prop that I had made when I'm on stage competing, which was really fun for me. And like Adam Savage was reading my script of how I made it, which if anyone knows who Adam Savage is from Mythbusters and Tested, he's one of my biggest heroes in as a maker. And there it is.
That is cool. That helmet is amazing.
Yep. And there's like 2 smoke machines on the shoulders, and there's about 2,000 LED lights that run through all the different horns. Anything that's yellow glows with lights. And I did a little bit of sewing because I made the bodysuit, and I know that's a little bit more extreme than typical sewing, but it's pretty cool.
Unbelievable. Everybody's saying this is smoke machines. Tell us more about the smoke machines.
Yeah, so this character is supposed to have, the power of controlling electricity, and the lights would glow blue. So the smoke would rise out of my shoulders, and then the lights would fire, and it would turn the fog blue to make it look like I was, I don't know, controlling thunder for some reason. I know that's extremely nerdy for me to go into detail about that, but it was really fun.
It's not. Speaking of nerdy, by the way, you're not nerdy, but I did hear we have so much in common. When I was watching not that I was had to watch everything about you, but I wanted to make sure. I'm like, you've got such a cool story, so I kept watching. But you're into computer. What were you doing with computers?
Oh, I was yeah, I'm like a certified computer technician. I worked in IT healthcare for a lot of years. I just always kind of built computers for fun, and then I got into video editing when I was younger, and some of those skills kind of translated into broadcasting my workshop and doing sewing tutorials and other kind of costume tutorials. I don't really know how much else there. Do you build a lot of computers? Is that why you're asking me?
I'm a big techie person. Not that I'm not official, but I'm a total techie person. Yes.
Cool.
And I love video editing and anything like that. So yes.
The skills certainly translate very well to help connect with people. And I'm not super outgoing. I can pretend to be when I go to events or like right now, but I live alone and I don't go outside a whole lot. So this is kind of my outlet to connect with people in a very comfortable way, which works.
That's awesome. But you're not alone, because I see that. What is that thing in your case?
Oh, I've got my turtles are in there. Yeah, Donnie is kind of floating around, and Yoshi is trying to knock him off, I guess.
So the brother family loves to do I Spy, and I'm just having a ball. I don't know about all of you watching. You have to leave a comment. What do you spy in that room? Because it's very cool. But I did see the turtles. That's very awesome.
I don't even have the good angle. All my sewing machines are like right next to me, and the cool stuff. I had a friend make me a new prop. It wouldn't fit on camera. It's a 11-foot long sword that I put up above my fireplace. I would love to share it, but I can't because it's too large.
Oh, that you're gonna have to share photos. I did, by the way, speaking of photos, I got one more here for you. Oh, not
Oh
that
yeah,
one.
that was
Yeah,
fun.
this one. That's I'm looking at that armor on there. Can you give us some tips of how do you mold that? Do you sew it? How does that work?
That's all leather, and it's all wet formed leather that's painted with Angelus paint, which is like specifically a leather paint, which is really cool. And then I just use like stretch denim for the tunic, and there's a bunch of chainmail and some other armor that goes all the way from head to toe, which is really cool. And that was at BlizzCon. I was there for a work trip. If anyone knows what BlizzCon is, good work. It's a huge kind of video game convention out in California once a year.
Oh,
But
that's neat.
yeah, and I just actually I started another company last year which runs we ran virtual international cosplay competitions as an outlet for people to share their work from around the world who couldn't travel due to health and COVID type stuff. And it got really big really fast, and that company Blizzard, actually I can't even talk about that. That's kind of a pre-NDA thing. There's a good picture of
There's
that.
good.
But I might be getting to do some work with some really cool industry companies that have really cool IPs.
Very cool. I love this.
Yeah, that was I think my first professional photographer shoot a friend of mine did. It's so wild, and I'm sure you have some great stories too, Angela. But just getting into like creating and teaching yourself and falling into even a small community and watching it kind of grow, I've gotten to meet some of the most incredible and interesting people over the I think it's been like 8 years since I started sewing, which it doesn't feel like that long. But yeah, like I haven't just met other sewists and quilt makers, but I've met people that build robots and photographers and people that work on films and movies and things that I just, and everyone's so humble and willing to share their knowledge and their experience and inspire everyone around them. It's incredible. And that's what's kept me in this kind of culture for so long, is just how terrific the people are.
I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So can you tell us, because you are a partner with Brother, as I am, how did you connect with Brother? Was it that you use those machines first, or all of a sudden you use them and you love them? And I know you embroider, so we're going to be bringing some of that up because I know
Sure.
there's a lot of embroidery enthusiasts. But how are you working with Brother, and how much do you just love it? Because I know I do.
Yeah, it happened fast for me, and I did use Brother Machines before they reached out to me, which was, I remember getting that email and I was like, "What?" That was a really wild feeling, but I had been streaming on Twitch and broadcasting my workshop for years. I think I did a couple of like unboxing review things on some machines. My first Brother machine was the SE400, which I think is the SE600 now. But it's kind of like it was a very reliable sewing machine that you could swap and do a 4x4 inch embroidery with. And I fell in love with it. I used to do all kinds of personalized jobs for commissions. And then I think I got the PE770, which is the 5x7 dedicated embroidery machine, which I fell in love with that. I use that all the time. And then I started doing tutorials on YouTube, and I was using a couple of different other brands, but I always ended up using my SE400 and the 770. And I got an email in November of 2018, I think, saying we would like to do some work with you. And I was like, this is crazy. Like I'm not that talented, whatever. But I said yes, and they sent me the ST150 HDH, the heavy duty machine, and I use that machine way too much. I have to oil it like once a week because I use it so much. And our first run of videos did really well, and I did all these great videos on YouTube. And then they had booked this gig for me to do. They sent a film crew to film kind of a pseudo documentary at my house here. They sent a film crew from Chicago, and we did the whole. They were launching the Brother Side Hustle program, which was really great timing because everyone was kind of locked down at home, and a lot of people were interested in how to make some side cash or start a full-blown business. And
Hmm.
it was around that time I ended up getting the 10 needle, this way, the PR machine, the 10 needle, which that
That
thing's
machine, I have a photo of you using it for one of your
oh yeah.
embroidery projects. That is absolutely just the best machine.
Yeah, and actually, I had PE Design 10, the embroidery software, which I just got 11 about a year ago, and I, I'm the kind of person where like I always loved looking at other clothing or projects that either stores were selling or people made, because I was always trying to dissect and figure out how was that made, how was that put together, how do those seams look like that, why does that embroidery look that way. And then I got to start using the software and these machines to start figuring out how to create it. And I wanted to create things that would fool people into thinking that they were purchased at a department store, because like all these machines and the software was so easy to use and high quality that I'll make a hoodie and embroider stuff on it, and I'll wear it out, and people are like, oh, that's a great hoodie, where did you get it? And I'm like, seriously, you should know me by now, like I make everything that I wear. But it makes me happy that I can still fool people that they're thinking I'm buying this stuff online or I'm going to stores. But
You know, when you're talking about embroidery here, and I have a few other things that you've embroidered that I want to bring up. When you taught yourself how to embroider, when you got your 10 needle, and I can see a lot of the comments here, a lot of the people here actually have the machines you just mentioned, all of those ones
oh,
that you
good.
first started on, which is a great
Oh yeah,
starter.
this is on Brother's like Facebook. Okay, good. I was like, I hope I'm not losing people by being too specific about these
No,
machines.
we're on Brother's Facebook and YouTube page, and the Brother family is huge, and they love to see people that are creative like yourself. So on here, when you got that 10 needle, if you're teaching yourself, were you a little intimidated, or did you just jump right in? What was the first thing, if you can remember, or one of the first projects that you really wanted to do, knowing that you didn't have to change the thread each time?
Yeah, and actually, I wasn't too intimidated. I live in Dallas right now, and I went to. It's funny because I went to. There's a big Brother dealer in Dallas called the Stitch House, and that's a really funny story. The first time I went there, I'll save that for another time. But I met the owners. I just went in to like look at upgrading machines. I met the owners. They were super nice, and I was looking at like a 6 needle and I think this is before the new models came out, but they showed me how to use it. And they showed me, it's just you do one thread at a time, and then you move over and do the next thread. And I was like, okay, so it's just like using, kind of a single needle machine, but it's all automated and it's got a tablet and a touch screen and all this stuff attached. So they walked me through just setting it up, and it wasn't so bad. It's just kind of one channel at a time. Don't let the size and all the spools of thread intimidate you. And yeah, like I think my first embroidery was like a couple 100,000 stitches, and I stared at it for like 90 minutes while it did the whole thing, just because it was so much fun to watch. But yeah, that was a really wild feeling. I think I got to use it for the first time when they were here filming me for that side hustle program.
I'm looking at your machine right now in your studio. I love your logo. You're
Thank
so
you.
organized. And can you all see some of the stickers on the machine to the right there? That's just one portion. If you want to see more of his stickers, you
Yeah,
definitely
I refuse to put any stickers on the big machine just because it looks too pretty being clean the way that it is, and it's just too valuable for me to ruin it with stickers. But I've got 7 other machines right next to me that are just covered in stickers.
All right, so I'm going to bring up another project that you were working on.
Sure.
I think this is a messenger bag.
Yeah.
Check this out, everyone. So this is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this was I ran a contest, and I was the host and the master of ceremonies for a contest. We had costume makers from 39 countries. I think we had over 300 submissions for that contest last year. And we have like a best in show, first, second, third, and different categories. But then we also had all these judges awards, and I had my personal Master of Ceremonies award, which I gave to an artist from Michigan, actually. And he made a costume which is called a Volcana, which is this big ice dragon. So I wanted to make him a bag from scratch that kind of looked like the costume that he made. So I digitized a picture of the dragon in PE Design 11. I did it all by hand from scratch. I didn't have a reference. And then I just picked fabrics and colors that I thought would really lend itself well to that particular award. I think there's one other picture right next to that where you can see the inside. But
I'll bring that up.
Sure. But yeah, it's I've probably made a few hundred messenger bags over the last bunch of years, but they've really become pretty exciting for me to make. Especially like men don't have a whole lot of options with variety in terms of like fashion style for modern fashion or accessories and things like that. So I started making these messenger bags as a way to make kind of a gender neutral accessory for men and women, and really have fun to decorate and have fun with the color choices and fabrics of all of these. And they used to be really poorly made and floppy, and now I put stabilizer and batting and interfacing padding. Every bag has 8 pockets and adjustable straps and usually 5 or 6 embroideries, and they've become pretty exciting. And then when I go to events, I see a bunch of people with my bags that I've made, and it's really fun.
That's very, very cool. Okay, so speaking of sewing for men or for women or whoever we're sewing for, we have something completely in common. Well, a lot of things, but this one particularly, which really I was like, oh, the Wolfpack's gonna love this. Let me show. He makes his own jeans,
Yeah.
which I think once you make your own jeans, you'd never buy another pair ever. And I saw this. You have your logo embroidered on there. I love your fabric. Oh my gosh. I'm going to ask everyone here because I know we just finished a big jean course and a lot of the people made their own jeans. Everyone had different fabrics, but this fabric, I'm going to give you an A+ on. And you're wearing a pair of jeans that you made today.
Yeah. If you don't mind, I stand up.
Check this out, everyone.
Some very cute anime style jeans. Actually, last week, even put little anime faces on the belt loops because I figured, why the hell not? And I found a contrasting blue version of the fabric to go with the pink. I feel weird just like displaying my lap in front of everyone like that. Whatever.
Hey, it's all about sewing. You know what happens. And I want to know if it's the same for you when you go to these cosplay events. When I go to a sewing event, it's all hands off because you want to touch fabrics and you will go. I've gone up to people just to touch the fabric on their outfit. In fact, sometimes I get myself in trouble because I'll want to touch somebody's outfit on an airplane or something and they're not sewers and they're like, what are you, creepy or something? Yep. I just want to see how that seam is sewn. That top stitching is gorgeous.
Yep. And I think my first story of like becoming interested in sewing jeans was I was at an airport staring at a guy's pants and he gave me a weird look like, yo, stop looking at me. But I was trying to figure out like, how are those made? And I think I went home from that trip and started learning how to sew my own pants. And you're right. I have not bought a pair of pants in 8 years. I find fabric. I think I've got about maybe 20, 25 pairs of crazy fabric pants or jeans that I've made. And when I leave the house, I run out of business cards pretty much every time. Because especially if I go to the airport, or if I go to a sewing show or a cosplay event, it's a big hit. And thank you guys for all these comments, by the way.
They're loving this. And also, it's great to see other variations of sewing. Now, by the way, these jeans, I'm going to bring some more photos up because that's something that we've all been sewing. And it's cool to watch you do this because the group that I have, a lot of them are, women sewing. It's great to see a guy that's sewing and sewing cool stuff like this. And these jeans are amazing. Your scissors are almost as big as mine.
Those are 13.5-inch shears. One of my sponsors is a scissor and shear manufacturer.
Very
Yeah,
cool. Yeah.
they're actually too large to use. They're more of a trophy piece, but God, they look good.
They really do. All right, so what's this down here? Right here.
That's a messenger bag I made for my dad because we both love coffee, and I just I think I smashed some fun ideas together for a Tock custom branded coffee themed messenger bag, and I found some really funny coffee fabric. And then I made him a pair of jeans for Father's Day.
Oh, that's
Um,
cool.
yeah, which was nice. He is, my last name is Tock, and obviously his is, so he's very proud of the Tock custom brand. And every time I make him a dress shirt or a pair of pants, he's like, "Can you make the logo bigger? I'm really proud of that logo. I really want to tell my friends all about it."
Oh my
Um,
gosh. Oh, Anne has asked this like 3 times. I got to bring it up. If you're doing all this sewing, are you also gaming?
I do, and I'm kind of a perfectionist when it comes to creating and filming, streaming, editing, and I don't often find myself with a lot of free time. But when I'm really burned out on work, which happens, that's what I do. That's how I decompress, and usually it's a full day of turning off my brain and just kind of role playing as some character. Um,
Did you do
oh,
a
cool.
video with yoga
Maybe you
pants?
saw the video on the yoga pants. Kat Dillon is a friend of mine here. I met at a fabric store in Dallas, and she works in like film and theater and commercials. And that's the kind of people I get to meet when I go to fabric stores, is things like that. That's really fun.
I don't. You must have a really cool fabric store. That doesn't happen to me, but I do meet cool people in the fabric store. All right, what's this?
There was a charity event for there's something called the Vampire Court of Dallas, and a lot of cities have these different kind of iterations of this vampire court, which is kind of in like the goth clubbing scene. And they were doing a charity event for it was pre-COVID. I'm trying to remember. I ended up getting commissioned to do like 100 embroidered zipper pouches, and actually I do remember what the charity was for, but I'm not going to say what it is on this stream because it's just not appropriate.
Gotcha.
It's a really wild community of people that I probably won't talk about on this broadcast.
That sounds good. I hint caught.
Right. Yeah.
So here, I'm gonna go through some of your other photos here because these are some really cool things.
Yeah, that one was good. That was before I got the larger embroidery machine. I ended up doing that patch in 3 parts because I couldn't fit it on my hoop.
Wow.
But yeah, so I did it in 3 parts, sewed it together, and then put it onto a garment. Someone made a cape out of a brocade, which looked really cool. So yeah, there was that. I forgot we had all these pictures.
I know there's a ton in here.
Yeah, that was a pair of pants themed with some video game stuff that a friend of mine commissioned me to make for her husband in Baltimore. And it's funny as a maker, and Angela, you probably know this too. I often get commissioned to make maybe some things that I don't really know much about the color or the fabric or the brand that they're asking me to make, but you just take the jobs because it's fun to make stuff and make people happy. So yeah, like the Vampire Court thing and some of the other things. I've made a bunch of. Oh yeah, I'm not supposed to say specific brand names. I've made a bunch of very specific branded movie or TV show type things that I don't know anything about, and people assume like, oh, you must love that series of books, and I don't, but it's really fun to create those things that make people excited and happy about sharing what they love. And I think that's it's fascinating that I have this great I'm very fortunate to be able to create anything from scratch. And I sometimes forget that not everyone can do that or has the time to do that or has the resources or equipment. which is why I started getting into teaching and doing reviews of machines, teaching beginner type tutorials, so that other people can grow with me and grow with the people that help me.
Which is amazing. And, which kind of this question really ties in here. And I kind of have another one with your creative process. In general, how long does it take you to make a costume? But I'm going to add something to that question, Jennifer, for Tock, because creatives do things very differently. Do you just jump in with your fabric and start playing with it? Or do you have to take a period of time to sketch? Or do you just make it up in your head? What is just a general process for a costume that maybe you want to make?
That's a really good question. It's always different. Forgive me for not having an answer ready to go. It's always different because every time I make a costume, it's always a passion project. Like I will love a particular design or garment or full costume, and it just starts with me obsessing about it and going to bed thinking about it and waking up, and then I start. Yeah, sometimes I'll start kind of drafting how. Hopefully someone understands me when I say this. When I look at a garment or a costume from a TV show or a game or a film, I'll start trying to panel it in my mind and lay it flat and imagine, okay, I feel like that front left panel would lay like this flat and how that would translate to me. So I'll start sketching that on like grid paper. Sometimes I'll just go right to my large roll of paper and start drawing it out and putting it on a mannequin. Or other times I'll start with a very specific detail and kind of grow it from there to the outside. But yeah, making costumes it's a very extreme form of creating. And I think I like that challenge because I can make a pair of pants in about 4 hours now for a pair of jeans. But sometimes making a costume will take me 1 or 2 months if I'm really cruising fast with it.
Well, that's 1 or 2 months. So, okay, that's kind of like a couture jacket, which takes hundreds of hours.
Right.
I don't know about you, but when I get started on a big project like that, I need a little break. Maybe that's why you do gaming. But I need a break where I can do something that I can finish, like make a quick t-shirt that I can do in an hour just to have something and then move back to the project. Is that how you work, or do you just
it is.
focus on that one?
I made the panels of that armor in about 4 days, about a week ago. And then my brother came into town and I made him a couple of t-shirts. So actually, I do have one thing I can share. Yeah, I needed a break from sewing. So my brother came in and I made him just kind of a open neck t-shirt.
Oh, that's gorgeous.
I still have to put buttons on it, but this is just, sorry, a little thread there. But yeah, it's just kind of a nice waffle stitch t-shirt with an open thing. I just got to put buttons there. But yeah, this was like a 2-hour project just to kind of break up the long process of a very long-term job. And
also, that's a really nice shirt, by the way. Really nice
thank you. It's so funny to hear another person who understands sewing compliment me.
Well, I have to ask then, that fabric looks beautiful. What fabric?
Yeah, it's really solid. I didn't realize it's a 4-way stretch, which I didn't know when I got it, which is a little bit more challenging to work with. But like I said, I obsess over projects when I start them, which is probably one of my strengths and flaws, where I'll stay up until 4 a.m. working on a project if it's not done, or if I'm trying to learn it or figure something out, or if the fabric is fighting me. And I think that's a lot of my success is kind of based on that mentality that if I'm determined to figure something out, I will figure it out. And
yeah.
I mean, just looking at your background and all the equipment and materials, like I feel like you might understand what I'm talking about.
I totally understand. I don't stay up till 4 a.m. anymore. I pay for it the next day. I can't even stay up for fireworks next week. My nephews are like, come on, you can stay up till 10. Well, I'll try. But what you're saying is so true, though. And I would love to hear from the comments, because a lot of people here, some sew for their families, some sew for fun. There are some business owners in here too. I'm a perfectionist as well. And when it comes to the sewing, and I will have to spend, if I have one project, I might spend 2 weeks just running it through my mind, how I'm going to put it together. I'll sketch it, but I have to know that whole process before I even jump in. Especially if it's something super big or something different, totally different. And my husband will just say, "What are you doing today?" "I'm going for a walk." And I'll walk to the beach, which is about a mile, and then come back. And I might walk for like 3 hours. I come back, I'm like, "I got it." He's like, "Oh my gosh, what is?" But that's my creative process as well. The worst part, though, and I have to know if this happens to you, do you ever wake up in the middle of the night with a great design and you have to sketch? Well, you're up till 4 in the morning. You don't sleep, I guess.
Right. I force myself to burn out every night so that I don't wake up and start sewing. I did that. My brother is visiting me from Milwaukee right now, and it was like midnight, and I didn't finish that green shirt I was making for him. And he was like, "Okay, I'm going to bed." And I was like, "Yeah, me too." And then I started walking to the workshop to keep working. And then I was like, "No, I can't do this because it's going to keep him up and whatever." But yeah, and something very different like armor, like that I have to be very specific. But for a lot of other garment or fabric based costumes, I just modify patterns that I have. I'm maybe 80 or 100 patterns that I can just modify a hoodie or a dress shirt or something to look like a tunic. So that does a lot of the heavy lifting for me, which you're nodding your head, so I'm guessing you
Yeah.
do that for lots of things too. So that helps. Those patterns are excellent.
So for a lot of the home sewers that maybe have a set of patterns, if it's slopers or if it's like a couple of favorite patterns, once you have one that fits, it is so great to just have that, unless you
Yep.
change your weight. But you have that and you can just grab it and make a top or make whatever you're doing. I think fitting is probably one of the biggest challenges with a lot of people when they make garments. But here's one for those that are like, "I'm not going to make garments. It's too difficult." I got to bring this up because this is so cute. All I can think of here is ScanNCut with vinyl.
Yep. Yeah, that's what those are. I did a demo on YouTube of just how to use the ScanNCut, or like a good entry level thing, because I really like personalized garments, and I didn't even make those T-shirts. I just bought $4 shirts from the fabric store and just came up with a couple of designs, and those were 5-minute jobs each. Those were really
That's
fun.
for somebody who is intimidated for sewing garments. I had to bring this up because how easy is that? You buy a T-shirt,
Right.
and you can always find plain T-shirts on good discounts as
Yep.
well, and then throw a little ScanNCut on there. Do you are those anything special tips that you want to give anyone for adding vinyl?
Special tips. I would say like, well, it depends. If you're talking about like coming up with a design, come up with a design that like is super unique. So when people see it, they're like, "What is that?" Like, like I made this shirt. This is my brother's idea. He was like, "What about like a fencer getting blocked by a fence?" And we thought it was just kind of a funny idea. And this one isn't vinyl. I airbrushed this. But yeah, it was a funny idea. So I made a couple of shirts and we shared them with our friends. And now everyone wants this goofy fencer shirt,
Oh my
which
gosh,
is
I love that.
really funny. And actually, I've got one more right here. This is a friend of mine he's one of my business partners, but his name is Chad Hoku. He actually has one eye, and I digitized his face and cut out on the ScanNCut. I cut out Mylar stencils and I airbrushed his face. So it's just 3 stencils: the black, gray, and white. And because I love this man so much, I wanted to celebrate him. So I made myself a T-shirt by airbrushing with fabric paint.
That
So
is amazing.
which is another cool way of using the ScanNCut. Of obviously it does vinyl, which is great, but the airbrush or fabric paint just gives it such a different texture, which is it's just different. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different.
That was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
I love my ScanNCut for so many things. In fact, my sister's birthdays were this weekend, and I made their name and put them on leather. I should have made a messenger bag like you have. I actually purchased them, but to be able to customize like that. So I got it. Speaking of cool things, what is this?
So the first year of lockdown, there was all these people I knew from around the world that had been working on these 6-month long costumes to compete at different costume events around the world, and they couldn't share them because everything was closed for obvious reasons. So myself and some friends had an idea to do a virtual competition, which we started a brand called Ultimate Cosplay, and we ran our first contest. And I worked really hard to make the show look really good, and I was the host, and I got the judges, and I got sponsors, and we had all these people from around the world enter and really show off just the world of some of the best costume makers. So one of my friends made the Best in Show trophy, and a bunch of medals, and we did all these great handmade prizes that were very high production, high quality. And at the end of the show, one of the judges the judge that made that trophy made one for me. And he said, I want to give this to Tock, myself, for doing such a good job of organizing this and hosting the show and bringing us all together during hard times. And I just started crying in front of several thousand people on camera because I wasn't expecting it, but it was really special to me. And when he gave me that trophy, I decided I'm never going to compete again. There's no prize that I could ever want that would be more special than this. So I haven't competed since.
That's pretty amazing. That's really special.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in another thing up here. I can see all your comments coming in. Feel free to ask your questions. I'll bring them to Chris in just a second. But what is this, by the way?
That was just, I think when I first got the 10 needle machine, I wanted to make a bunch of patches, and I was playing around with some stitch texture functions with PE Design 11. And I really liked that kind of quilted embroidery look. I don't know if you guys watching can see that or not, but there's this really cool kind of diamond grid pattern on the stitch work. And it's really simple to do, and it makes it look like some billion-dollar machine embroidered that, but I just did that in front of my fireplace, you know. And yeah, I was just making patches. I think I was going to a convention and wanted to just give away patches to fans and friends and stuff.
So you're using PE11 to create these, and then you brought them to the machine, which, by the way, that looks very expensive. I mean, very expensive. I'll bring this back up so you guys can see this. I mean, this is absolutely gorgeous. If you look really close at the details, I don't know if I can make this bigger. Let me try.
If you hold control and kind of scroll forward. Oh, maybe not. Never mind. If it's in the browser.
You know what? I'll take it out of the browser and bring it up because this is really cool. I'm going to just
yeah, it's a really.
I'm going to download it, and because you guys have to see the detail in here. There we go. This is way better. Check this out. I mean, it's absolutely gorgeous.
Very cool. I think that was before it did the border, like the satin stitch around the edges too. That's just the solid colors. But
what fabric did you do this on?
That's just I usually make patches on black bull denim, like a 6-ounce denim. It's what I found works the best without, I don't know, giving me problems. If I use any kind of stretch fabrics, it looks terrible. But no, denim is great. Any kind of woven, just solid is fine.
I see you're using the magnetic frame. Do you not just love that frame? Oh my god!
I do. When I do jobs, sometimes I'll put 5 or more embroideries into one job. So having something that just snaps in, snaps out is really fast. Makes me really happy. And especially with I can freak out about brother machines a little bit. You were showing some of my pants earlier, and something that I really struggled with some of the other machines were some of them have a static hoop size. You know, you're stuck with a 4x4 or a 5x7 hoop, which, you know, for most time is fine. But it's just great that I can do a 14x8-inch embroidery on the face of a messenger bag. Or if I'm just doing a pair, like a dress shirt or a pair of pants, I can do a 2x2-inch embroidery with a magnetic hoop, snap it in, and I don't waste all this extra fabric, or I don't have to cut my panels extra large so that I can get it in a hoop. and then embroider it, and then trim it down to size. And those, I think I have like 6 different magnetic hoops. And then there's like the ones that clamp on into a pocket so you can embroider without it going through the pocket bag, which like stuff like that it just saves me so much time. And if I make a mistake, it's a little bit more forgiving.
You know what I love about this is that you taught yourself, number one, and two, you've created a business out of it. And instead of, I think a lot of people get stopped in that blank, like I have to have this first. And you didn't have that first. You started with what you had and you moved on up. And now, of course, you got the creme de la creme when it comes to embroidery machines. But I mean, to be able to do that and go from one to the other, you're doing it from your house. This is a really awesome story.
Thank you. Yeah, it's funny. I like to try to stay humble if I can, but all of this just comes from the love of creating anything, and it started me making things for myself, and then friends and family were curious and interested and wanted to support me, and then I make them stuff, and then you find yourself going out of the house, going to restaurants, going wherever, and people they want to know about it. It's interesting to people, and then. Yeah, that was my first commission when I got that machine. A friend of mine that runs a salon in Wisconsin wanted to get her and all of her employees personalized jackets, leather jackets. So I made, I think, like 112 patches and drove up to Wisconsin and sewed all of those. I think there was like 6 patches per jacket. I sewed every single one on by hand at her salon, which was really fun. And I made a lot, like I usually don't care about this, but I made a lot of money doing one job. I think I made more money on that one job than I had ever made before. And that machine made it so much easier for me to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's really cool. So by doing that for all of her people, first thing on the brother, the 10 needle, it's gorgeous, by the way.
Yeah, no, it turned out really well. And I think my sister is friends with her or something like that. And we've stayed in touch since then. And she's like, oh, if you're ever back up, I'll give you a haircut, when you're in town. We don't get a lot of guys in here with long hair or at all. So, yeah,
You're like,
that's.
No, don't cut my hair. Oh, hold on. I got more pictures here, too. I can see you all saying they're just absolutely loving your story, which I agree. And so for those of you who have not heard of The Side Hustle, that was a show that Brother has on their YouTube channel. If you go to Brother YouTube, you can watch Chris on there. Very inspiring. So, Chris, I got to ask, what is this? I'm going to bring this up.
Uh-oh. Oh, I think I sent you a picture of kind of the creative process of the inside of a messenger bag as it's being built.
That's
so that
cool.
was a bag I made to do a fundraiser for the startup company that we were doing. So yeah, that's the inside of a bag when I'm putting the gusset on. So that's like the top flap and back with the gusset, and there's a lot that goes into these bags now. At first, it was just like fabric and interfacing, and now it's a lot more. And I had to get a heavy duty machine. So the Brother ST machine is incredible for sewing through denim, batting, interfacing, stabilizer, and doubling up layers. And so that's what that is.
What machine are you using for that?
That's the Brother ST150 HDH, which it's funny because it looks like just any entry-level sewing machine, but it's got like the metal chassis on the inside. And I did a stress test on that machine for my YouTube channel just to see what it could do. And I started with cotton duck, and I think I got to like 26 layers of cotton duck, which is a very dense fabric. And it got to the point where I couldn't get the presser foot to move because it was so thick. And it sewed through all of it. And then I sewed through, I think, 4 or 6 layers of 4-ounce leather with a leather needle in that machine. And if you did that on pretty much any other machine, your needle would break on one layer of leather.
Totally.
But that machine went through all of it. And I was astonished.
Is that do they call that the Strong and Tough? Is it that machine?
Yeah, it's the Strong and Tough.
I renamed it. I renamed it because I kept saying, instead of saying strong and tough, I always called it the rough and tough because the same thing. You could like literally sew through anything.
Right. I was actually trying to break a needle during the tutorial, and I couldn't do it.
Unbelievable.
Which was really fun.
Okay, so I got to bring this up. And then I see a couple more questions coming in from Ibby. So let me bring this up. This looks like this is a really cool messenger bag.
Yeah, that's the one that you just showed the inside of. So yeah, we did like kind of a fundraiser for this company, the Ultimate Cosplay Championship. And actually, because I can talk about that brand because I own it. But yeah, that's our logo, and we did. I was just making that because I wanted to, and it was good marketing. But
I'm looking at all your stickers behind there. Do you all see that back there? I knew I'd be able to show these off.
But yeah, like all the stickers are people I know, so it's not like, you know, whatever. Wow. But yeah, like Evil Ted, he was the first guy I ever found on YouTube, and he taught me how to make like props and armor out of EVA foam. And what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so we started Ultimate Cosplay as a brand, and I had a book publisher reach out to me and asked me if I wanted to write a book. So we just sent in our first manuscript, and our first book is being developed, teaching people how to make clothing, armor, and props. And our first book is about thermoplastics. So if you know what Warbla or Wonderflex or Foz Shape is, we wrote a book on how to use those types of materials for sewing, for costume creating. And we're going to be doing a whole bunch of other books on fabric, leather, 3D printing, sculpting, wig styling, cosplay makeup, you know, everything. And it's really exciting. It's a lot of work, but that's what we like to do to give back to the people that are learning.
That is amazing. When can we expect to get this book, or when is it going to be out?
I think this one is going to come out around Christmas time. So I will send links to our people, and I'll share the book cover, and we'll do a pre-order thing. I'm not necessarily here to plug my new book that's being developed, but it's funny to me. I didn't think 8 years ago when I started making a costume that I'd be writing books on how to create costumes and doing talk shows for my favorite sewing machine manufacturer. Like, that's crazy to me. So this is a huge privilege for me to be doing this.
It's awesome. Well, when your book comes out, we're going to have you back on, because if we don't have you on before then, but definitely then, because I want to hear about this. It's going to be amazing. By the way, I know some of you are asking where you can find Chris, and he's on YouTube, Twitch. He has a website. We'll be bringing that up. But before we get to that, Ibby wants to know, how would you describe your first video experience? Oh, that could be
like my first YouTube video. That's what I'm interpreting. That's really funny, and I'll make this brief, but I was streaming on Twitch, which is a live platform for just people can watch me while I'm sewing. One of my viewers asked me, how do I thread a sewing machine? I love watching your channel. I want to learn. So I was trying to teach them, but people kept distracting me. Like, if you donate money or subscribe, it like sets off all these alerts, and they were trying to screw with me, so I couldn't teach. So I said, you know what? I'll make you a YouTube video. And the next day I just filmed myself threading a sewing machine for 20 minutes. You know, I just set up lights, camera, filmed it, and then I edited it. It took me maybe an hour and a half to film it, edit it, and put it on YouTube. Maybe 3 hours. And that video blew up for whatever reason. I still don't really know why. And I got partnered on YouTube in like a month. Like it hit like over 1 million views in a couple of months.
Wow.
And if you looked on Google, like how to sew or how to sewing for beginners, like my face would show up, and I'm like, what the hell is happening? And that was the year that brother reached out to me and said, hey, we want to partner with you. And that allowed me to start monetizing my videos on YouTube. So I was making passive income and teaching and connecting with people so quickly. And just real briefly, part of why I really liked making videos, when I started learning, there weren't super strong videos at the time. There's great videos now. But I thought maybe I could make some higher production videos that are a little bit more clear, that aren't blurry, that are edited a little bit more so that they're very direct. Because a lot of the videos I watched were very long-winded and kind of out of focus and hard to see. So that was my focus when I started making content, was let's just do what other people have done in a more direct way. And I think I found a lot of success with that.
That's very cool. That's, well, when I started there, YouTube, I'm not that old, but YouTube is not that old either, but there was no YouTube at that time.
Right.
So I had to read every book, and I would read and study, and then I'd go and all week try that new technique, and then it might work, it might not, or I didn't like their technique and made my own, kind of like what you did.
Well, it's funny too, because you can watch and read all the videos and books, but at a certain point, you have to get the equipment, get the fabric, and do it yourself. Like, no one's going to do it for you. And that's when it becomes real. When you know what it's like when the bobbin is jamming while you're sewing and you hear the noise and you're like, okay, I know. Like, that's when it becomes real. That's stuff you can't learn from a book or from a video, is getting the feel for it, listening to it, and feeling what it actually feels like to create something.
That is so true. You just made me think of a story. When one time I was teaching in a classroom at a sew expo, and I could hear, I was on the other side of the room, and I was like, hey, you need to rethread your machine. She's like, how did you know that? I'm like, that noise.
Yep. Yeah, if I'm in the other room cooking in my kitchen and I hear my embroidery machine make a sound, I'm like, crap, I got to go stop this now, or I'm going to end up with a rat's nest. Yeah. Yep.
So true. Okay, what is this? This is really cool.
Oh, that was the inside of a messenger bag I made, and I was just really proud of this embroidery, both the design and how it turned out. And when I took a picture of it, it looked really small, so I put a quarter next to it for scale, because it's huge. It's like, I think it was like 10 by 10 inches, or like 9 by 9 or something. But it's kind of a creature from a video game that I'm a fan of, and it's like the logo of this particular creature. And I just made that and gave that bag to a friend in New Orleans last week.
Is that? Let me see if I'm gonna bring this up. This isn't the same.
Yep, that's that bag.
Oh, it is. Wow.
That's the outside of that. So, yeah. And I'm not going to super nerd out about what that creature is, but yeah, like, I love just punishing myself with elaborate designs like that. I think it took me like maybe 2 or 3 hours to digitize it, and then another couple hours to get it onto fabric, and then scale it into a flap that could, work well with a bag, and then matching fabrics to the embroidery threads to kind of tie the whole project together. Like, it's so fun. I think when I was a kid, I used to do a lot of artwork and painting, drawing, things like that, but I couldn't ever use my art. I could only share it or give it to people, whatever. I love creating bags, costumes, clothes, because you can use it, you can wear it, you can show it off. It's beautiful as an item, but it also has the functionality. And I feel like I finally have the fundamentals figured out, and I can really explore having fun with different fabrics and contrasting stuff, and really filling up a composition of a pair of pants or a bag. Like, it's so much fun for me to really dive in and obsess about that.
That's very cool. And once you have the basics down, Katie bar the doors. I mean, really. And everybody takes it in different ways. His official name is Chris Tock. She's asking, what is your official name? Chris Tock.
Oh, thank you. It's my real name. And everyone calls me Tock because my brand is Tock Custom, and I think it's just kind of a fun little nickname or whatever. But yeah, you call me whatever you want. But I feel really like privileged and lucky to be sitting here with you. And I actually did get to do some research on your brand and look at your website, and I love all of the tutorials and classes. I didn't realize how established you were, and this is my first time actually sitting down and talking to Angela today. So we're not old friends, but I would love to catch up with you when we have free time. And
we're not old friends, but we're new friends.
Right. And maybe I shouldn't say this during the show. I don't care. Whatever. I was looking at your website, and the photography and what you're showing off on your website is gorgeous. I really want to see a gallery on your website of your work, if you're willing to do that at some point,
I am.
because it sounds like do you have a gallery? Did I miss it?
No, you didn't miss it. I built the website and I gave up on the gallery because I was trying to edit the photos. So yeah.
Okay, well, let
It's
me
on
know
the
when it's
to-do
back,
list.
because I want to see all the, like, when I go to sewing shows, it's a majority of quilters. And I really admire quilting, but I don't make quilts. I'm not a quilt maker. But I really admire people that make custom clothing, garments, accessories. That is really exciting for me.
I get
So,
excited about that too because there are not a lot of people who focus on garments. They might
right.
embroider the garments, but they don't actually make them from
Yeah.
scratch. So, and as you all can see during the show, no, Chris and I have not known each other before this, maybe a 5-minute conversation. But when you both sew and embroider and work on projects that are similar, even they're different, we could talk for days because it's so cool to feed off of each other to see what you're working. But the one thing we really have in common, besides making very cool jeans, is Brother, because Brother machines have made it. The embroidery, it makes it so easy. We've talked about the ScanNCut, the strong and tough. I call it the rough and tough, but it's okay.
Yep.
I mean, Brother has really what has brought a lot of us creatives together, and to be able to share this is just amazing. Chris, we have to get together again. This is amazing. I love your talent. I love your items. There's even more photos, but our hour is just about up. I'm going to bring up, I think there was one more here I had to show. Yeah, because I got to ask about this. Everyone's saying your photography and your costumes are absolutely amazing, but this one I save for last because this looks cool.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Look
that
at
was
this.
really fun. That's from an anime that I'm a fan of. But yeah, I made the pants, the tunic, the overcoat, and all the armor. And there's a bodysuit that I attached that all to. So this was a really fun mixed media project because I got to involve all these different materials and have it just kind of look like it made sense somehow. But yeah, all the armor is just EVA foam painted to look like metal. In the show, he's got a prosthetic arm and prosthetic leg. And the overcoat is just a modified hoodie pattern because it's supposed to be like a trench coat with a hood. So I just take a hoodie, made the front panels really, really long out of a wool, a really cool kind of basket weave wool that I found. There's one other picture of this actually that, if you don't mind pulling up.
No, I'm just reading. Everybody's loving this show. I got sidetracked.
Yeah,
Sorry.
if anyone knows what Full Metal Alchemist is, that's Dracula. I think it's two more down.
Wow.
That one was fun.
That's cool.
And there's Ezio, which is a remake of my first costume I ever made because I figured I could do it better. There it is. Okay. But yeah, that shows I think the garment's a little bit better.
Wow.
But yeah, I never thought that I'd be a 35-year-old at the time cosplaying as a 15-year-old Japanese kid from an anime. But it was so fun to do it. And
absolutely.
Yeah, I got to wear this to there's an event called C2E2 in Chicago, which is coming up next month again, and I'm making new armor for that.
This is amazing. We're going to have a tutorial on this or actually I'll send them to your YouTube page to watch the tutorials when you do things like this. So Chris, what is your website? Because I see a lot of people asking, and yes,
sure.
If you go to his website, then you can actually click on his YouTube and Twitch page.
Yeah, so tockcustom.com is my personal website, and just at Tock Custom on literally everything. Just one word, Tock Custom on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatever. I was lucky to just get easy branding across the board on everything. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This is really fun, and I hope you guys have been enjoying this little chat, which is fun to listen to other artists talk. I love running podcasts and doing things like this. And thank you, Angela, for being so welcoming and kind to me.
Oh, I absolutely love this. I love your talent. You are amazing. Your work is amazing. The photos are even more amazing. I'll get on the gallery, Chris, and I'll send you a note about it. I'll let
Okay.
you be the first
I
one
want to
to
see your
critique.
stuff, and I truly want to see it. I'm not pretending. I get excited and inspired by other artists all the time.
This is awesome. Well, I look forward to catching up with you again. And this has been absolutely amazing. Leave your comments, brother. Brother, I'm so glad you brought Tock in with us, and I love your work. I'm gonna be sure to.
Am I gonna meet you in person at the trade show in Tennessee?
Oh yes, at B2B.
Yes. Okay. And maybe I shouldn't have brought that up because I don't think it's open to the public, but
It's not open to the public, but all the fans here know that that's when all the new products are coming out, and
right.
we get to do live streaming from there. Oh, Chris, this is going to be fantastic. I think
We'll
you
take
and I are going to have
selfies
to get
and we'll
together.
make everyone jealous that we're
Yes.
hanging out, and we'll drink lattes together if you're into that kind of thing.
I like tea.
Okay, we'll do tea and coffee, and then we'll really freak out about sewing. That'll be
And
awesome.
I think, you know what, I'm going to tell the Wolfpack that I have a live show that I do there on Wednesdays. I'll make sure that Chris is with me on so you can ask more questions.
Oh,
And
cool.
see
That
us
would be
in
great.
person.
I
Excellent.
love your community name, the Wolfpack. That makes me really happy.
Well, what are your fans called? TikTok?
We tried some ideas, but nothing really. I don't know. They're just.
All right, everyone. Help Chris out. Leave a note in the comments, and he can come back and check these later. What should we call his fans?
Yeah, I would love to hear some ideas. I think I worked with the Tock Brotherhood for a while, but I didn't like it to be too gender specific. So, yeah, I'm open to whatever. But
oh, you better watch out because your email, the comments are going to blow up. They're very creative on here. They're the ones that came up with the Wolfpack.
I love that, and your branding, and I'm very excited to meet you today and to learn more about you. This is the beginning. You guys are witnessing the beginning of a new creative friendship that's happening right now.
I think Chris, we're gonna have to get together and do a crazy jean contest. I think this could be very fun. I
can get very competitive, and I'm from the Midwest, so things like bowling and cooking brats and eating cheese curds are all things that I'm very competitive at.
All right.
Okay, I'll make this brief. I've done several sewing speedrun competitions live on Twitch and on Facebook where I would do sewing races against other artists from around the world. And
I'm in.
They're really fun. They're not safe. Like I've had to, if anyone's had to go to the hospital from a rotary cutting accident, I understand. But yeah, my record for making a pair of jeans is 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Including embroidery and stuff?
No embroidery, but still
just
all
sewing.
The top stitching and serging and all of that.
Wow.
Again, not a safe thing to do, but if you want a pair of pants really fast, that's a good way to do it.
I think I'm at 4 hours. I'll polish up before we do this.
Okay, but that was worth mentioning. But yeah, I'm down for a virtual crafting hangout anytime.
That sounds awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much. Brother, sewing and crafting family, thank you for watching us. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. And brother, thank you for bringing some great creatives together.
Thank you, guys. Have a great rest of the week.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm afraid I have a confession to make. I'm actually here undercover. March, now. I came to Quilt Club to gain the knowledge and insight to help build the best collection of quilting machines Brothers made. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you I was undercover. Can you find it in your hearts to forgive me? Let's quilt.